The Celtics 4-0 since the calendar turned to 2019, and Kyrie Irving crediting a team meeting they had after that home loss to the Bucks on December 21st. Remember, they kept reporters waiting outside for 40 minutes. Here's what Kyrie said about the meeting, quote, "At that point, playing against Milwaukee, we weren't at rock bottom, but we needed to address some expletive in this locker room. It's just good to get stuff out in the air as grown men and guys that have expectations for themselves. It was good to hear guys talk about what they wanted for themselves, what they wanted for this team." So, Paul, what do you think was the biggest issue they had to clear up in that meeting?
I just think they just had to say, look, guys, we are a great team. We're not playing to our potential. I mean, they went on a winning streak probably weeks before that, and then they got inconsistent with losing 3-4 in a row. There's too many great players. Not great, but really, really good players on this team. And they know where they want to be at the end of the year. They were one game away from the finals. For them to be going out there playing like this at home, it should never happen the way they got beat by Milwaukee that day. So I'm glad they cleared the air. You know, meetings like this, I think, are overrated sometimes, but they can go one or two ways. You can clear it and you move on and play better, or it can turn into a total disaster. But I'm glad things cleared up and they're back playing the way we know that they can reach their potential. And last night was a perfect example.
You know, when we did the show prep, producer D hit me up and said, "What do team meetings do?" And I said, a lot of times it's just guys venting frustrations and things that they're holding inside that they may not talk about. Instead of us being all passive-aggressive, let's get it out in the open.
Right.
I hadn't seen that quote when I told them that. And it sounds like exactly what happened.
It sounds like there were a lot of personal agendas there, right?
And not in a bad way, but just the idea is that we have a lot of offensively aggressive players, more so than we thought we would have a year ago, right? And so everyone's got to figure out how we can all eat at this trough, right? And like Paul said, it's a deep roster of very talented offensive players, so that's a good problem to have. I'd rather have that problem than have nobody able to score or what have you. So they figured out one of the things is just staggering those minutes so that everyone gets an opportunity and a chance to shine.
Yes.
When you were on that Celtics team, what was the team meeting you remember making the most difference?
We had a team meeting probably the second year. It was on the airplane. Oh, actually the third year. The year we went back to the finals, we only won 50 games. Yeah, 2000. We only won 50 games that year. Our regular season was disastrous.
Right.
I mean, we were so inconsistent, and we had a couple of team meetings. But the good thing about our team, even the year we won it, we had team meetings all the time. Whether it was good or bad.
Ubuntu.
We always talked to each other. That was a good thing about that crew. Whether it was good, what could we do better? When it was bad, what we can do better. And so we had great communication that it was never about clearing the air, somebody wanting to fight, but sometimes agendas did creep in there. And we just had to straighten them up because we had headstrong veterans on that team.
I don't think most of the time, it's not about people wanting to fight. It's just guys not happy with their role, but they don't say it. They sit there and they get that.
That's usually what it is.
Yeah. Right. First of all, I completely believe that on a team with Kevin Garnett, people were talking all the time. You didn't have to guess about what they were thinking.
All the time.
I do like, though, that you had a team meeting on an airplane because no one can leave. That's it. You got to participate.
That's the best way.
Let's talk about this Celtics team, though. They scored 130.5 points last night, their most in a regulation game since 2004. The offense clicking after struggling to start the season. What do you think the biggest factors are?
Well, I think, first of all, it's staggering, as I said earlier. But also the other thing is there was a lot of one-on-one play earlier in the year, a lot of isolation play. And what's happened over the last 20 games is they've risen to number one in the NBA in those 20 games in assisted field goals percentage of their entire field goals. What that means is guys are making buckets off of passes, and when the ball is moving, we're passing. We're obviously with that talented of an offensive team, you're so much harder to guard than us just watching and
Great point. I mean, we have a team that you have about 4 or 5 guys who could probably average 20 on a team, but when you talk about it, you're like, that's not happening, guys. So everybody, we're going to share the ball and play together. And at the end of the day, it's about winning.
Yeah, if you pass it, you got to know you're going to get it back.
Yeah, absolutely. And that makes
works.
Everybody better.
Yeah, Gordon Hayward also, by the way, I think we got to note, he is really rounded into form, still coming off the bench.
And
that's what's worked for them.
Balling.
But he's been really looking like his old self. It's going to take a while, but you can't count that out to me. I mean, you've got a player, an all-star, who's now back in all-star form. That makes a difference.